Hi, I'm Mandy, and for this presentation, I'm going to talk about professional communication and how it connects to building an effective team. I'm using a school-based workplace as my example because that is the type of environment I work in every day. In that setting, communication affects almost everything we do, from daily routines and behavior support to working with teachers and other professionals. My main point is that communication is more than simply giving information. A supervisor has to make sure people understand the message, know what is expected, and feel comfortable asking questions when they need clarification. In a school based autism services setting, communication happens constantly. Staff may need to coordinate with teachers, paraprofessionals, behavior staff, therapists, administrators, and families. Everyone may have a different role, but we still have to work toward the same goals for the students we support. When communication is clear, staff are more consistent and problems can usually be handled sooner. When communication is unclear, even a small misunderstanding can affect routines or create unnecessary stress for the team. That is why I see communication as one of the most important parts of supervision. It keeps everyone organized, informed, and better able to work together. One of the biggest responsibilities of a supervisor is making sure the team actually understands the message, not just that the message was sent. A supervisor needs to explain expectations clearly, including what needs to happen, who is responsible, and when something needs to be completed. They also need to choose the right way to communicate. Some things can be handled through an email or quick message, while other situations need a face to face conversation. Supervisors should also listen, watch for signs of confusion, and encourage feedback. The communication process includes the sender, receiver, message, feedback, and noise. So, a strong supervisor works to reduce anything that could interfere with understanding. A successful supervisor is someone people can communicate with comfortably. To me, that means being approachable, consistent, and willing to explain things without making someone feel like they should already know the answer. The supervisor also needs to think about the person receiving the message. People have different backgrounds, experience levels, and communication styles, so one approach will not always work for everyone. A good supervisor pays attention to those differences and adjusts when needed. They also stay open to feedback instead of treating communication as one sided. When employees feel heard and know what to expect from their supervisor, it builds trust and makes it easier for the team to work together. Coaching and mentoring are two ways supervisors can use communication to help team members grow. Coaching is usually more focused on a specific skill or performance issue. The supervisor explains the goal, observes what the employee is doing, gives useful feedback, and helps set the next goal. Mentoring is more focused on long term development. A mentor builds a relationship with the team member, helps them identify goals, and supports their growth over time. I think both are important because supervision should not only be about correcting mistakes, it should also help people become more confident and capable. In a school setting, that may include modeling a strategy, giving feedback after an observation, or supporting someone who is still learning their role. Teams usually go through several stages as they develop. The first stage is forming, when people are still learning their roles and figuring out how the team works. Storming is when disagreements, stress, or confusion may start to show. During norming, the team begins to develop stronger routines and trust. Performing is the stage where the team can work more independently and focus on results. The final stage is adjourning, which happens when a team ends, changes, or transitions to something new. These stages are helpful because they remind supervisors that teams do not always function at the same level. A team may need different types of communication and leadership depending on where they are in the process. The supervisor's role should change as the team moves through those stages. During forming, the supervisor needs to be more direct because people are still learning expectations and routines. During storming, the supervisor should focus on listening, reducing confusion, and helping the team work through conflict respectfully. In the norming stage, the supervisor can reinforce the routines and teamwork that are starting to work well. Once the team reaches performing, the leader can step back more, delegate, coach when needed, and recognize strong performance. During a joining or a major transition, the supervisor should acknowledge what the team accomplished and clearly communicate what comes next. The main idea is that good leadership adjusts to what the team needs. There are several practice activities a supervisor can use to help create a high-performing team. One is regular team check-ins. These do not have to be long meetings. Even in a short, predictable check-in gives staff a chance to share updates, ask questions, and make sure everyone is on the same page. Another activity is collaborative problem solving. Instead of one person making every decision, the team can review what happened, identify the barrier, and agree on the next step together. Coaching and peer support can also help because employees learn from feedback and from people with more experience. These activities build communication, trust, and accountability, which are all important for strong team performance. Effective communication matters because it has a direct effect on how well the team functions. Clear communication reduces misunderstandings because people know what they are supposed to do and why it matters. It also builds trust because employees are more likely to speak up when they feel heard and respected. In a school setting, communication also helps create consistency for students. When the adults are following the same expectations and routines, students receive more consistent support. Good communication can also improve the productivity because less time is spent correcting preventable mistakes. Overall, communication helps turn a group of people who are doing separate jobs into a team that is actually working towards the same goal. In my workplace, I can see both strengths and weaknesses in communication. One strength is that we have many opportunities during the day to share information about students, routines, and what we are seeing. We also have input from different professionals, which can be helpful because everyone may notice something different. Another strength is that team members are often willing to help one another when a problem comes up. At the same time, communication can become difficult when information has to pass through several people. Busy schedules can also make follow-up harder than it should be. Quick emails or messages are convenient, but sometimes tone or important details get lost. Recognizing both sides helps us see where communication can improve. There are several barriers that can interfere with communication in the workplace. Some are simple, like noise, distractions, or being rushed. Other problems happen when a message is too long, too vague, or more complicated than it needs to be. Personal assumptions and bias can also affect how a message is sent or received. Another major barrier is lack of feedback, because the supervisor may assume something was understood when it was not. Some practical ways to improve communication are to keep messages simple and specific, use active listening, ask clarifying questions, and confirm understanding. Supervisors should also choose the right communication method and follow up after important changes, conflicts, or coaching conversations.